Yes, guys, and welcome to another Summer House Stories. Today's guest is a Sky Sports pundit, a League of Their Own captain, and an ex-professional footballer. It's the one and only Jamie Redknapp. Mate, lockdown has been a bit of a killer. I read somewhere that you've been struggling with the homeschooling. Is that right? Like, how hard was that, mate?
Mate, the hardest thing ever.
Was it?
The best, it was one of the greatest days of my life when the kids went back, Rocket. I have to be honest, it was great having them around.
Yeah.
But it gets to that point where you just question yourself non-stop. Am I doing enough? Are they doing enough homework? Are they doing enough, the prep? Are they playing enough sport?
Yeah.
Are they sitting on the computer too often? I reckon every single parent went through those same thoughts all the time. I've got like a 16-year-old
Yeah.
and an 11-year-old, and you want to keep them active. But it was tough for every single parent because and not only that, I mean, school was hard for all, but like some of the homework they were getting, I'm like, you just got to style it out like you know what you're on about.
Yeah.
Of course I know that one, Bo. I need 11 by the way. But it was no, it wasn't. It wasn't easy, and I'm sure for everyone we all learned. We learned some different skills about ourselves. We learned how to lie through our teeth to our kids to pretend we know something. But no, it was all right. It was great to spend time with them, but I did find it tough. At times so difficult. I'm not going to lie, mate.
Jay, what were you like at school?
Do you know what? Honestly, I get a bit of stick. I was good at school, but then when I got to about 13, 14, that's when I just made up my mind I wanted to be a footballer. I obviously had a dad that coached the local team in Bournemouth, and I actually blame him as much as me that he'd say to me, look, come training with me today. And what kid at 13, 14 is not going to go, all right, Dad, I'm going to go and train with the Bournemouth first team and join in or be the ball boy. And I love being around my dad. We had a really unique relationship where we shared a passion.
Yeah.
And going to training with him and being around good players, players like Sean Brooks. I don't know if you remember Sean Brooks, Ian Bishop, who had a really good career, played for the likes of Man City and West Ham. So I had some really good role models there, and it was a tough school. So I think what it did was harden me to a certain extent. So when I went to Liverpool as a 18-year-old, I was ready for it. I wasn't in any way in awe of what might happen and the surroundings. Although it was quite a fierce environment to go into, I could handle myself.
Yeah, priceless memories. You can't beat going to football with your dad. With regards to school, could you handle yourself? Did you get any fights or anything, or were you kind of like?
No, like now, mate. I just had hard mates.
Did you? Yeah,
that's
same.
The key. Yeah, that's the key.
Same.
You got your mates with you. Andy Fagan, hardest kid at school. He was my best mate.
Was he? Yeah.
He was tough. Don't mess with Andy Fagan, mate. You must have heard of Andy Fagan. Everyone knows.
Everyone knows Andy Fagan. Yeah, legendary.
Fagan, that guy. You know him. No, he was all right. I wasn't a fighter, mate.
No.
I didn't mind. I had a couple of fights along the way, and
yeah.
I had an older brother as well, 3 years older than me. Mark could look after himself, so I was all right. I got a little bit of stick at school because I was obviously Harry Redknapp's son, and then there was the stuff about Bournemouth and Liverpool. So you're always going to get jealous kids or whatever. But I was all right. I could handle myself, and I don't think anyone thought, oh, he's flash or he's that sort of kid that, some people obviously want to punch your face in, but I was all right.
When you were at Bournemouth and your dad was managing, was there any aspects where you felt like, oh, this is a bit awkward because it's my dad?
Yeah, there were a few actually, Rocket. I tell you when I was 14 to 16, I was signed to Tottenham.
Yeah.
So I used to still go train at Bournemouth even though I was on the books at Tottenham. But then when I got to 16, I decided that I didn't feel that Tottenham at the time was the right pathway to get in the first team. I thought I'd be stuck in the reserves. There were some really good players there that were in the reserves and looking like they might just get stuck. And I was obviously a confident kid. I was like, no, I don't want to be there. I want to go to Bournemouth. I want to go and play in the first team there. So when I actually signed as a Bournemouth player at 16, there was the odd time when I'd walk into the dressing room and you knew they were talking about my dad, and it was like, oh, that's awkward. And then everyone would go quiet, and it was. But you know what? I wasn't a snitch. I wasn't a grass. I would never go running back to my dad. Listen, there were times when I'd think, you're a weasel. Why are you even saying that? You know I'm here. Or even sometimes say little things. But most of the lads were brilliant because they knew I could play. They knew I wasn't, just there because I was the manager's son. And then once Liverpool come in for you, the respect levels are slightly different because it's like, Kenny Dalglish wants to sign you.
Yeah.
I think for anyone, there's not a lot anyone can say after that.
Mate, what was it like? 17-year-old, you're playing at Bournemouth. You get the opportunity to play for Liverpool. How does that feel as a 17-year-old? Like, it's massive. Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was and I wasn't. I was obviously a confident kid. I mean, Kenny Dalglish used to ring our house on a Sunday, just asking how I got on the night before and the day before on a Saturday, and he said, like, really want you to come and play and sign for Liverpool. He made a real fuss of me, and whenever I went up there on to go and see if I liked it. They wanted to sign me, and I stayed with Kenny, and he looked after me, took me out for dinner. He was just an incredible role model and one of my heroes. And all of a sudden, next thing you're staying at his house and getting looked after and talking football around a dinner table, having a bowl of pasta.
Nuts.
It's quite surreal.
Yeah.
But in a way, I suppose I was quite lucky because as a kid, we grew up in America, and there were times when Bobby Moore and Jeff Hurst would be having dinner with my dad, and I used to just look at them, and they were Jeff and Bobby to me. They weren't Bobby Moore, the England World Cup captain, or Jeff Hurst, the only man to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final. They were just friends of my dad. So I suppose I was quite lucky that I never got overawed by it. I just loved it. I loved talking about football. I loved hearing Kenny Dalglish talk about, when he get the ball and he'd bend it in the top corner and things like that. I've always just been obsessed with football, so it was quite nice for me.
When you actually went to Liverpool, were there any players that kind of took you under their wing, that looked out for you? Or were you on your own?
Johnny Barnes was a huge influence. The first day I got there, as a player, you sort of walk onto the bus, and it's quite a difficult thing because in those days you used to get changed at Anfield. You go to Melwood on this rickety old bus in training kit that you've had all week. Train at Melwood, then get back on the bus, go to Anfield, and then get showered and go home.
Right.
So I got on the bus, and every single player's there, like Ronnie Whelan, but one of my heroes, McMahon, Nicol, Hanson, Johnny Barnes. So everywhere I went to sit, they go, sorry, you can't sit there. That's Ronnie Whelan's seat. I go, okay.
No.
And I've got to sit somewhere else. No, sorry, you can't sit there. That's Steve McMahon's seat. Anyway, 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, I've got long hair from Bournemouth, but they're all probably thinking, who's this flash cockney? And then Johnny Barnes went to me, hey, come and sit next to me. And I went and sat next to John.
What a man.
Oh, thank you so much. And we just had a little chat. He said, I've heard you can play a little bit. I went, yeah, hopefully I'm not too bad. And I said, you're my hero. You're my favourite player. And they always say never meet your heroes, but couldn't be further from the truth with Johnny Barnes. He was amazing with me and still one of my best friends now.
Yeah, and a decent rapper as well. Big up Barnesy. What a man. Now, Jay, your book's coming out October the 1st. What's it about?
To be honest, mate, I'm not that keen about talking about it. I'm not really sort of that guy that wants to... plug anything.
No.
You know me, I'm quite under the radar when it comes to that sort of stuff. Mate. But now you've asked.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Oh, I've got it here.
Yeah, that was lucky, wasn't it? That was really lucky.
Oh, mate, that's a good goal. Do you know what, mate? I've never done a book. I've had lots of different opportunities to do it, and I didn't want to go like my whole life. This was just something that somebody, Tom Fordyce, who wrote Peter Crouch's books with him, but come with an idea about doing something growing up and just what was it like in your growing up with Frank Lampard as your cousin, with Frank Lampard Senior as your uncle, a dad that was in the public eye, in and around all these players and all the pressures that go with it. And I thought, let's have a go. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully people like it. And also it's a little bit of because we're all different. Like Frank's upbringing, we're cousins, was totally different to mine in terms of Frank Senior was quite, he worked hard. He really worked young Frank harder than my dad did. My dad never really had to shout at me or anything like that, whereas Frank Senior was he's a bit more... he would be a bit more vocal when he watched Frank Junior play.
Right.
Whereas my dad was quite quiet. He'd just sit there after a game. We'd maybe go through it. Yeah. And had a few hand gestures that all dads have, like if your son's not doing well, it's like, come on, you got to do better. Or if you're doing well, a little thumbs up. So it's brought back a lot of great memories. It really has, and and hopefully, what I've taken out of it, and what people might like is there's little sort of interjects with Frank Lampard as a part of the chapter with me and a couple of my old schoolmates, John Barnes, Kenny Dalglish, all different people that have played a big part in my life. Obviously, my dad, and then it has their view on what the circumstances or the things that were happening to me at the time. So it's got quite a nice feel to it, and it's brought back a lot of good memories. It's made me realise how lucky I was to have a dad that I, you know, in football,
Yeah.
and also how obsessed I was with football and still am, you know. And I think that's something that you need to remind yourself, because football's it's always been so kind to me, and it's my passion, and I'm sure that will come along in this book. And any young players or anyone that wants to be a footballer, I think it shows you there's no shortcuts. You know, the work you have to put in to get to the top of, you know, get to Liverpool or England, and there's ups and downs as well, by the way. A lot of ups and downs I had in my career, and, you know, but it's I wouldn't swap it for the world.
Mate, football has been a massive part of your life. If you didn't have football or sport in your life, what do you think you would have done? Did you have a backup?
No, zero backup. It was it never. Do you know what, mate? It never even crossed my mind to do anything else.
Really?
Never. I was just convinced, confident. I don't know what the word is. I just wanted to be a footballer, and I was going to make it happen.
Yeah, love that.
And that meant training more than anyone else. That meant going out in the garden when it was dark. That meant going to training with my dad all the time, and just making sure that you did everything you could to be a footballer. And I think I got rewarded for that point of view.
Definitely.
You know, because it's like anything in League of their own. People see, injuries and that and stuff like that. Football has always been my life. There's nothing else that comes close. I love playing golf now, but I can't. But when you compare it to football or watching a game or anything like that, that's my obsession. I love the game, and I think that certainly comes across in this book. And as I say, any dad that wants their kid to be a player, it's a fun read. I'm looking forward to my kids reading it to see what they think, and I'll get you a copy, mate.
Top man. I'd love that, mate. Now, Jay, you mentioned injuries there. You did have a few injuries through your career. Did that ever affect you mentally? Did you ever kind of get really down because of it and think, I've got so much to give, but I can't give it because of injuries?
When I look back, I mean, I had about 12, 13 knee operations. You know, I was out for a year with one injury. I broke my ankle twice playing for England, tore my hamstring playing for England. So not little Mickey Mouse injuries that were like, he's just injury pro. These were genuinely bad injuries. And once you get one big one, you know, I had my meniscus taken out when I was 17 years of age, and they took out the whole of the meniscus. They would have, if they'd had that operation now, they'd have sewn the meniscus back, and I'd have probably, you know, rested for 3 or 4 months. Instead, I did it, and I played within 10 days. You know, after an operation where they took my meniscus out. Now, to any doctors out there or anyone that understands the human body, it's like, that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
But I thought I was Superman. I didn't look at what was ahead. I didn't think about, well, you know, in 20, 30 years' time, I was just there and now.
Yeah.
I wanted to be out there helping my team. I remember playing in the game. 10 days later, the game was the Valentine's Day massacre when Matt Letizia scored a couple of goals against Liverpool. It was a freezing cold night in February. And I came on as sub because I'd obviously been out for 10 days. And madness, really. But I didn't know anything different. And of course I'd have changed things if I could. But that's the way life is. You can't jog backwards.
So how are you now, mate? How are you still, like, fit? Can you move?
No, my knees. No, listen, knees no good, but that's fine. It's like there's a lot. All footballers limp. You can spot a footballer a mile off. You know, they're bow-legged, and you know, as I say, there's that's something I can never change. Of course, I would have done things differently. I would have said to the doctors that, do you mind this time preserving my meniscus rather than just whipping it all out? Because that's not really, you know, to a certain extent, that's negligence. But that's life, and I can't. You know, I retired at 31. And I had a brilliant life, played for England, played for Tottenham, Bournemouth, Southampton. And then it gave me the opportunity to go into the media. And I've done some great things in the media. And I've been so fortunate to have another career, which some people, you know, don't have that luxury. So I certainly wouldn't sit here and go, you know, don't feel sorry for me. I've been very lucky.
Now, Jay, you've done loads of great stuff on A League of Their Own, a lot of hardcore challenges. What's been the hardest challenge that you've had to face on that show?
Oh, mate. We've had some tough ones. Yeah. I got to be honest, when we did the road trips, I kept getting away with it. I kept missing out, and Freddie having to do them. Yeah. But then we got to the last one, which was the European road trip, and I had to do a high wire walk. Yeah. It was horrendous.
Was it?
I promise. And I know, like, you know, like we think on TV, they milk it. I genuinely, I don't know how I did it. If you asked me to do it again, I don't like heights. Yeah. And two, nobody had done it. It was like this. There was this mad guy who's he's a high wire walker. Yeah. But he does it without he stands there holding the bar, and he does it for a living. But he doesn't even have any what's it called when you got the stuff on. the harness.
Oh, he's got screw
anyway, so
loose.
I've got a harness. I mean, the chances of me going anywhere are pretty slim. But I was actually the first person to go across from one side to the other. So as I'm halfway across, I'm thinking to myself, any minute this could just collapse.
Just
and
go.
It's good night. It's not even you bump your head. It's all over.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
I managed to get across. And then Freddie and I had a bit of a moment, to be honest. We're great mates, but he genuinely got upset. I got a bit upset. So it was a bit of a funny one. But that's definitely the worst thing that I've done, Rocket.
Have you got anything coming up, mate? Any challenges? Is there another? Going to be
Yeah,
another?
we're doing League of Their Own at the moment,
Yeah.
which is I think about the 5th one in, and then we do a new road trip. Fingers crossed.
Brilliant.
Everything's planned out, but obviously we don't know what's going to happen with like lockdown, and is there going to be more restrictions?
Who sorts
If
all
there
that?
is, then not a lot we can do, but hopefully we can.
Is that
we
James?
can
Is that
do it
James?
because I think people enjoy it, don't they?
Oh, mate, they love it. They love it. Is it James Corden that sorts all that out, all the challenges, or is he just kind of presenting it?
James obviously can't do this one. He's done it. The reason why the road trip came about initially was because when James moved to America, we just thought it'd be a great idea for Jack and Freddie and myself just to go over and see him and do some challenges with him. People that would like the show, they remember we did the baseball one, American football, hamburger eating competitions. with Lola, who was spanking us.
I remember,
we've
mate.
done some mad stuff.
Yeah, you
hot
have.
dog eating
It's
competitions.
been brilliant.
So no, it's been great fun. I love it. It's one of the, when I look back at, obviously the football career means so much, but to be doing something else and having a laugh the way that it all worked out, it's been great fun.
Have you seen the Spurs documentary, All or Nothing, yet on Amazon?
Yeah, I love it. It's been great. I'm not at the end yet.
Right.
But I've really enjoyed it. It's that one thing. There's lots of things that we watch from my little boy who's 11. He loves his football.
Yep.
And he's into it. We love it. I think that everyone's coming across really well. It puts Tottenham in a good light.
It's a brilliant insight behind the scenes. If they'd done that in your day, what could the cameras have caught in your day?
Oh,
Mate.
my goodness, that's a great question. They would have known what hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been, but it would have been a lot funnier.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Like the characters involved.
That footage would be
I've
priceless.
enjoyed them. The best doc I've ever seen is the 98, the Bulls one.
Yes.
The Chicago Bulls, The Last Dance.
That's
that
class.
is another level. So hopefully what we might get to a point now, because I always think we need more access into teams, and because although the guys that played in that team with Michael Jordan will have that for the rest of their lives now.
Yeah, you're right.
And they're the moments you look back and you share with your family or share with your kids. And so hopefully more teams might start to do this now, because we all want to see that access.
Definitely, mate, definitely. Well, Jay, mate, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. I really appreciate it. You're a top man. Good luck with A League of Their Own. Good luck with all the punditry stuff. You're absolutely smashing it. And yeah, thank you so much, mate. You're a legend.
You're a top man. Keep up the good work, mate, anytime.
Cheers, Jay. See you, mate.